Then, what is that? 30 years later, I know very much more about Okinawa and the history and the whole thing, and now I can explain and understand why it went as it did in '84. Because even though I was aware of that, it's very hard just to come from the Western world and just jump in Japan and Okinawa even more. So I wrote a letter to Yasuhiro Kunishi's son, Takahiro Kunishi. No, that's not true. Because Yasuhiro Kunishi was still alive at that time. Yes. So I wrote him, and I was coming to Japan, Tokyo, see him, and he wrote back, fine, look forward to see you. So I thought, okay, everything's good. But in the meantime, it was actually pretty close before we could arrive in Japan in '84. The old Yasuhiro Kunishi died, and Takahiro Kunishi's son took over. And that was kind of okay, and we had a good time in Tokyo, but there was no really exchange of knowledge. It was a lot of exchange of sake after training, a lot of fun we had on that. No comments on that, but at least it was very funny. That's a part of the Japanese training that we don't see much in Europe, but of course they have that side too. But the more karate side was more a demonstration of their karate and demonstration of our karate. And then we applaud each other, you know, and that was okay. And he said, when I was going to Okinawa, it would be very hard for me to get in touch with anybody if I didn't work the same style, or at least had some kind of relation to these old guys. I had plans to visit the Shurin-ryu, at that time, Shugoro Nagasato and Shoshi Nagamine, both are died, I guess today. Yeah.
Shugoro Nagasato is still alive.
Oh, he's alive, yeah, but Nagamine is dead. Yeah, okay, yes. So that was my plan, to visit these guys in a Shurin-ryu system. I was a Shuri. So it was a tough one, but for the same reason, Takahiro Kunishi wrote a letter in Japanese, and I should bring that letter to Shugoro Nagasato when I got there. So I thought, okay, I'm safe. So when I got down there and I met probably his right hand or chief instructor, whatever, and he said, of course, what do I want? I said, well, I have an appointment with your sensei, Shugoro Nagasato. I would like to see him, and if it's possible. And he was a little distance on that. And I gave him the letter from Mr. Kunishi, and I thought, that's gonna help. I mean, and he went off and came back to me, and he said, well, that's okay. You cannot bring your whole group because you're too many guys. So you can only pick 2 guys of your group. And that was the first kind of issue. It was hard for me to go back to the Danish group, 12 people, and I could only pick 2. But I had to. I mean, there was no risk. And we had to wait a week. And that was another issue, because we don't travel the other end of the world to wait a week. So that was a kind of complicated. But I had to accept it. And I did. The week after, I came with a couple guys, and we showed a kata, and they applauded, and they showed a kata, and we applauded, and they showed a very great kama kata, I still remember, and we applauded very much, very impressive, and that was more or less it. And then I could drink a cup of tea with the master. It was a very privileged thing to do. What the other, and I did feel privileged, but we didn't talk any karate. We didn't get into the martial arts very much. When I went and see Shoshi Nagamine, on the other hand, that was a little more different story, because he was more used to see Western people coming in. He was more into that kind of attitude we came with. I remember there was a French, Swiss guy training there when we came in, and we trained a little bit, but it was not too much for the book, you know, to get stuff home from Okinawa. That was my idea, but I could see afterwards, I was happy just to go and see that, get an impression. What is Naha today? What is the whole thing? How does it look? Is the karate school? How does that karate look compared to mine? Even though I say it was back in '84, I knew nothing about karate compared to today. I was a heck of a karate guy, practically, physically, but I didn't have that big knowledge that I have today. So I can understand now that you don't just jump in and talk to these guys. It takes time and effort to do that. And it's, of course, a big benefit if you visit guys with your same style. I mean, that was probably the main issue they had on me. What in the world am I doing here? I mean, it's not the same style. So I was probably a little tricky guy for these guys. But Yeah, it was okay compared to what I know about karate today. That it was, but it was a big experience. But it confirmed that it's pretty hard to just walk in, and of course it should be like that, I guess.